Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video on Smallville. Today we're going to be talking about some new comments to do with Tom Welling. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos later this year. Okay, so we talked about Smallville in yesterday's video and we talked about the animated sequel that is being teased by Tom Welling as well as Michael Rosenbaum. They are both heavily involved in trying to make that project a reality, and they've been talking about it at every convention that they go to. So if you guys ever see Tom Welling or Michael Rosenbaum at a Comic-Con convention, more likely than not they're going to give you an answer and probably an update if you ask them questions to do with the Smallville sequel that they are trying to make. Currently right now, as I said in the video just the other day that I made, they're at a good stage. They got pretty much everything ready for it to actually be pitched to Warner Brothers and DC, but they just haven't done that yet. So go check out my video, that's up on the channel right now, because I think you guys will be very interested in that. But let's get into today's video. This is coming from Krypton site once again. This is to do with Smallville actor Tom Welling returning as the Man of Steel in Crisis on Infinite Earths in the Arrowverse. Now, I've talked about some previous comments that he's made in regards to returning as Clark Kent in the Arrowverse, but this is a new article going over what Tom Welling had to say at a recent convention panel. So shout out to Craig for writing this article. As I said, link in the description below to the Krypton site article so you can go ahead and read it for yourself. So this is how the article goes. Tom Welling was recently featured on his own panel at the Terrific-Con event in Connecticut. And in addition to his talk about the potential Smallville animated series, he spoke about returning to the role of Clark Kent for the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event in 2019. In his answer, he revealed a few things, for example, the notion that he had been asked to appear before the big event, and this is a quote from Tom Welling at the event. He says, "They had asked me to be on a couple other shows after Smallville, and I just never felt like the tone would fit. Clark doesn't travel like that, like if I showed up on Supergirl, it would just be ridiculous in my mind," he admitted. And then he goes on to say, "But what I got a message about Crisis, they were like, listen, we know you're going to say no, but please just read this scene, just read it. You can say no, but please read it." So I read it and I was like, man, this is good, he recalled. So there's more to this article and more quotes that we're going to read out, but let's quickly break down what we talked about before. So he obviously has previously confirmed that he was called up to appear on other shows, whether it be Supergirl or whether it be any other Arrowverse shows, because they wanted him to cross over. Obviously the multiverse is a real thing and it was big since The Flash season 2. So there was always a possibility, and fans always speculated about, could there be a Smallville crossover? And clearly they tried to do it. Now, I don't know if I agree with Tom in terms of the way that he felt about like maybe Clark not fitting into certain shows if the tone wouldn't fit. And so I'm not sure how I like his Supergirl comments, because he said Clark doesn't like to travel like that, which I guess he means to do with the multiverse, because we've never seen him travel in the multiverse. But he goes on to say, if I showed up on Supergirl, it would just be ridiculous in my mind. Now I don't get this, because I don't think it would be ridiculous to see Tom Welling's Smallville Clark show up in Supergirl. I think it would actually be great. You've seen various legacy actors return. Erica Durance was playing Melissa Benoist's mum on the show, and you also had other actors who were previously like Supergirl, like Helen Slater, who plays Eliza Danvers, Kara's Earth mum, and I don't think it would be ridiculous. So I don't know what he means by that. I have a feeling he's more talking about it would be ridiculous to see Clark traveling across the multiverse, because it's not something that they established on Smallville, and we all know how Tom is. He is very committed to what he did on Superman. He wouldn't want to tarnish that legacy by showing up and not having full control of everything. Well, you can see that they're still super passionate about Smallville because they're trying to make the animated sequel series and a potential comic book series together with Michael Rosenbaum and the rest of the cast and also the showrunners of Smallville. So they're super passionate. I understand that maybe with the multiverse side of things, they never did it on the show, and he would be a bit worried about how Smallville fans would react to that and wondering if he's like a sellout or something. But I don't think it would be interpreted like that, because so many past actors have returned, and some have even played the same characters. And so when he got the message about Crisis, however, he didn't have to travel across the multiverse, they came to him. So it made more sense to him, and even though they were sure that he was going to deny it because he had previously denied appearing in various Arrowverse shows and other DC shows, so I think it was probably quite a relief for them to see that he was down to do this, because he read it and he thought, man, this is good. But let's move on to what else he had to say. He said, I thought it was cool. I knew that the fans would think it was cool, so he's very much so thinking about the Smallville fans, but also Arrowverse fans too. He said, it was one scene, you got Lex in there who's not Lex, and I was just like, this is a good idea, and so it was a lot of fun to do. So obviously the Lex in the scene with Tom Welling in Crisis on Infinite Earths in the Arrowverse was in fact Supergirl's Lex Luthor, played by John Cryer. It was a great scene, and I love how self-aware that scene was, because as he says, it's not his version of Lex, and the version of Clark that we see that Tom Welling is playing, he actually recognizes that as well. And so he goes on to say, we shot at the Kent farm with the crew that was shooting Batwoman, and they had never shot there before, adding that he had to bite his tongue and try not to offer too many tips about what it's like to shoot there and what techniques or shots would be best. But it definitely must have been surreal for him to return to the Kent farm and be surrounded by kind of familiar things, and it being with a totally different crew, with Batwoman crew, because that was his specific episode. But Welling went on to describe his Crisis on Infinite Earths experience as fun, especially having Erica Durance there, but he did reveal a personal feeling about where this fits in the Smallville canon, or at least noted that he was unsure. He says, I don't know if that's actually the Clark from Smallville because it's a multiverse, so you never know. Adding that he also didn't know about how Clark lost his powers because no one ever told him. So obviously there was some changes from the Smallville version of the character, because this version of Clark doesn't have his powers, he's lost his powers, and they never fully explain all of that, because as he said, this was literally just one scene in Crisis, and as good as it was to see, I think he's right. Like, we're unsure if this is the same version of Clark that we saw in Smallville, even though it's inferred, yes, this is. However, it is the multiverse, so there could easily be another doppelganger that is extremely similar to the Smallville version of the character out there. And so it was just like a nice little nod towards the Smallville fans and towards the show, because it was a big show and it really set up the Arrowverse. And even though it's not technically part of the Arrowverse, because we don't know if it's exactly canon, they never actually confirmed that, it's at least part of that legacy, and it inspired shows like Arrow, shows like The Flash, shows like Supergirl. So that pretty much does it in regards to what he had to say at that Comic-Con convention the other day, but also at the end of the article, and I think we could get a big update here. They actually mentioned that Tom and several other actors from Smallville are going to be at this new convention that's going to be happening in October in New Jersey in America, and it's at Creation's Salute to Smallville panel. So that is going to be a big thing in October. Potentially, that's maybe when we're going to get our next update. Obviously, Tom and Michael Rosenbaum run their podcast online where they talk about Smallville. You could potentially get some information there, but I would probably say if you guys are around and if you're US based or East Coast based, try and go to that event, because they could be teasing more. And again, I'm not saying that, you know, the animated sequel that they're trying to work on and the comic book are going to be coming anytime soon. Like, it could be in 3, 4, 5 years, because they're just not ready to pitch it to DC, or DC's not ready because they're building the DCU right now. So I don't know how likely they are to accept Elseworlds pitches right now, but as I said in the video the other day, I'm a really big advocate of continuing Smallville, because I think it sets a nice precedent for the continuation of the Arrowverse in animated form, which I would absolutely love to see. And obviously, I would be super excited for a Smallville show as well. So that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. It would really help this video get out there. And subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. We're going back to uploading at least once every 2 days at the moment, so stick around because we're going to have lots of content. Also, we're doing a Q&A video very soon, so go up to my community tab and leave some topics, some theories that you want me to talk about, whether it's to do with Smallville, Superman and Lois, DCU, or anything else. I'll be sure to answer it, so make sure you send in some good questions. But for now, you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.